Good morning, everybody. I hope everybody's having a great day. A little chilly as we got the fireplace going over here in early fall. And it's a great day here to just relax a little bit on Sunday and think about the state of the world. One of the things I've been extremely gratified over the last few years is the surprising number of people that are interested in economics, and particularly as economics impacts life. Economics has always been a study that, boring, Ben Stein, now class, open your textbooks to pay, right? I mean, but in reality, the failure of most economics teachers and professors is they fail to integrate it into real life situations so that people can understand it and benefit from it. There's a lot going on in the world today, and as I said, I've been very gratified about the response on these videos because it's caused people to begin thinking about the world around them, pull away from the dramas and whatever else are going on in the world, plug into a place that is going to have discussion. It's probably could have a big impact on your life. I know maybe my discussion won't, but I know that the events in the world will, because we're coming up to a very critical time where the brittleness of the world is going to be tested and flexed in ways that we can't even imagine. So I've been continuously asked to do more and more. Please do more of these type of thought-provoking videos. And I think, well, I don't have all the answers, but I may have the questions to ask. And yes, I will continue to do these. And as usual, I got a big mouth and I have a lot of thoughts on things that are going on. And one of the big issues that future issues we're going to be talking about how economics and economic success and economic turmoil leads to enormous political changes. But today I want to revisit this topic and keep it short, sweet, and to the point to get you to understand why. The question is, why is the Federal Reserve doing this to us? They've killed the real estate market. They've pushed Fed funds rates up to 3.25% now. They're cratering the markets. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is off 20%. The Nasdaq's off 35%. Real estate sales and transactions have hit the wall. Why would they do this to us? Those sons of you-know-what. Well, the reality is that in this country and around the world, people have a disconnected idea about how the Federal Reserve operates and the parameters or the playing field on which it must operate. We think it's the average person, just some monolithic sons of bitches that sit there and decide the course of American prosperity or not really realizing that they may appear that their hands are on the tiller, but the free market economics is really the one that has things on autopilot. And, well, the Federal Reserve, they're just along for the ride, too. We've seen very rapid, consistent Federal Reserve interest rates increases in the borrowing rates, the Fed discount rate, and literally that's the rate that banks charge each other for overnight loans, the fastest, quickest loans. It's also the rate that you could walk up if you're a federal institution and you're a member of the Federal Reserve, and if you have a little liquidity issue, you can belly up to the borrowing window. You can borrow $100 million, $50 million to get you over liquidity issue. You might need to have a big payout or something coming up. The Fed is there for you at that window to allow your institution to borrow. And it also makes a rate that's good for other institutions to a benchmark rate that they can lend each other overnight. Now here's the problem where the Federal Reserve runs into free market forces where you think that they control their own agenda and their own path forward. The simple reality and the fact that you have to get in your head, as this chart has shown amply, and this is from late September, so it's even worse now. The Federal Reserve does not lead interest rates. It follows them. What do I mean by that? The Federal Reserve, the Treasury, United States Treasury, has to issue a lot of debt on a weekly basis. I mean, billions and billions. We have $31 trillion of federal debt that has to be serviced on a weekly, monthly basis. That's a big job, and as time goes on and interest rates go up, it becomes like the great blob that's eating more and more of the available capital of the world because of the perceived risk-free place you have to park your money and get a better return. So it's naturally more attractive to larger institutions as well as worldwide lenders. And a lot of the world participates in these auctions and these treasury bills, these 30-day, these 60-day T-bill, these 1 year, these 2 years, these very short funding mechanisms. And the smartest people in the world know that interest rates go up because of risk in the system. Something's going on. The liquidity's kind of drying up. There's less money available. The lubrication's kind of running out of the gears, and that's what we're seeing now. But imagine like today if the Fed funds rate's around a 3.25%, but the 30-day, the 60-day T-bill rate is almost 4% today, like 3.85%. The Fed's big problem is, and this is why they can't just stop doing what they're doing, is because if they don't continue to raise interest rates to match what the marketplace is doing, what the free market auctions on a weekly basis, where billions and billions of dollars are tendered to purchase in a competitive way and set the interest rate on these 30-day, 90-day T-bills, it's all free, open market. Institutions, foreign governments would not participate if it was controlled, if it was not a free market. Okay? Get that through your head. And because it is an open auction market, the Fed really has no control over the interest rate that the market sets on a weekly basis. And the market rate has been setting, the free market, the auction market, has been setting a price, a yield that's above the Fed funds rate. Okay? Now, you may say, so what? Right? Let people borrow cheap from the Fed. Who cares what pay them a little more to lend money to the U.S. government. Who cares? This is why you should care. Because in this type of situation, it becomes an arbitrage, what we call an arbitrage situation, where you can borrow from the Fed funds window. You can borrow from the Federal Reserve at 3.25%, and you could turn around and buy a 30-day T-bill for 3.8% or whatever, and put that little 0.6% risk-free in your pocket. You say, that's not a lot of money. Well, if you borrow $100 million, that's $600,000 free money, free profit for your institution on that. Not a bad deal. So people would be like, oh, that's a really good deal. And more people would be drawn to take advantage in that discrepancy of what they can borrow for and what they have, what they can get for it in a risk-free way, all within the security, perceived security of the U.S. government Treasury auction system and the United States Federal Reserve. So the Federal Reserve understands they cannot have that gap there. Because if you have that gap, money starts to be pulled away from potentially productive investments into plant equipment, things like that. And it starts to be drawn to this free money game to borrow lower, invest at the short-term rate, and close it out in 30 days and put the profit in your pocket. This is horrifying to the Federal Reserve, and it's the reason that their hands are tied. You don't think that they see housing slowing down, but they got to have the talkers and yackers out there talking about inflation, talking about we need to keep jacking up these rates. Guys, you don't have any control over those rates. Okay, you have to follow whatever the short-term funding instrument rates are for the United States government, plain and simple. So you can yak it up, you can use the cover story, but under cover of what's going on with interest rates, and they're almost meteoric and straight up rise, is a much darker situation is going to be unfolding over the next few years. But we live in an era where people manage things on a weekly and monthly basis, and we've borrowed so much money over time with seemingly no negative implications for the economy and the world, that, well, it has emboldened people to take borrowing to an all-time high. Well, history is replete with examples of the consequences of untamed borrowing. History also tells us that at times when you insist on using borrowed money to sustain lifestyles, that at the end it comes to a bad end. There's nothing that's ever going to replace productivity, production, savings, thrift, and things like that to build a strong economy. If you look at the long run of organized and recorded human history, those times and examples, those times where people live in comfort, where people wake up in the morning assured that their every economic need will be met no matter what, because their full faith in government is 100%. Their full faith in the world order as it exists is 100%. But history teaches along that long line of 5,000 and 10,000 years that it's only very small recently, measured in maybe 80, 90 years post the Great Depression of the 1930s, that with the advent and growth of the Federal Reserve and borrowing by the United States Treasury, to the point where we have a government that's trying to meet unlimited wants and demands of people in monthly checks and spending, that, well, are you so sure that that can be sustained in the future? As rates go up, and I'll leave you with this thought, as interest rates rise here, the devastation and the disaster that's unfolding in people that hold long-term bonds and institutions and pension funds that are taking tremendous hits here, 30% of their portfolio and things, the fallout is going to be severe. These are obligations that are guaranteed to people, pensions and things. Somebody's got to pay it. And who is that somebody going to be? Well, as you can see, we have a lot to chew on in future episodes, and I hope that you will subscribe to this channel to get some real philosophically and economically based analysis into your head. We all live in this country, but how well we are aware of what's going on and what makes this machine run is, well, the small number of people that really know is frightening to me. And the number of people that assume the tracks go straight and never have a open bridge where we can go off the side is alarming to me. Please hit the subscribe button, the bell for all notifications. Leave me a comment down below if there's something you would like to delve into. But now you know why the Federal Reserve can't stop raising interest rates. Okay. Thanks, everybody.